Have you ever felt a shiver run down your spine for no reason? Or caught a flicker of movement in the corner of your eye, only to find nothing there? For centuries, people have reported strange, unexplainable experiences, whispers from the edges of our reality. Today, we're diving deep into one of the most persistent and unsettling of these phenomena, the shadow people. What are they? The stories vary, but the core description remains chillingly consistent. They are dark, humanoid silhouettes, often seen in peripheral vision. Some describe them as flat two-dimensional shadows, while others see them as solid three-dimensional beings cloaked in darkness. They rarely speak or interact directly. They just watch. One of the most common figures reported is the Hat Man. Witnesses describe a tall, shadowy figure wearing a fedora or some kind of wide-brimmed hat, often with a long coat. He's not a recent invention. Tales of this specific entity go back decades, maybe even centuries, appearing across different cultures with no obvious connection. People who see him often report an overwhelming sense of dread, a primal fear that freezes them in place. He's been seen standing in doorways at the foot of beds, or just looming in a dark corner. Who is he? A demon? Time traveler? Or something our minds create under stress? Another type is the hooded figure, resembling the classic image of the Grim Reaper, but without the scythe. This entity is often associated with a feeling of deep sorrow or despair. Then there are the red-eyed shadows, which are exactly what they sound like, dark figures with glowing, malevolent red eyes. Witnesses often feel they are being actively threatened by these beings, as if their presence is a direct act of aggression. And perhaps the most common are the simple peepers, or corner of the shadows. These are the fleeting glimpses, the darting figures that vanish the moment you turn to look directly at them. Are they just tricks of the light? Or are we catching a brief look into another dimension that coexists with our own? Skeptics, of course, have plenty of rational explanations. The most common is sleep paralysis. This is a state where your mind is awake, but your body is still in sleep mode, unable to move. It's often accompanied by vivid hallucinations, and the feeling of a heavy presence in the room is a classic symptom. It's easy to see how a mind, terrified and trapped in a paralyzed body, could interpret a simple shadow as a menacing figure. Our brains are pattern recognition machines, and in a state of fear and low light, they can easily turn a coat hanging on a door into a tall, dark man. Another scientific explanation is hypnagogic and hypnopompic. Hallucinations, these are the vivid dreams that can occur as you re-falling asleep or waking up. They can feel incredibly real and often bleed into your perception of the room around you. Your brain is essentially dreaming while you're partially awake. Neurological factors could also be at play. Certain conditions, high fevers, or even extreme exhaustion can trigger visual disturbances that might manifest as shadowy figures. Our brains are complex, and when they're not functioning perfectly, they can create things that aren't there. But do these explanations cover every single sighting? What about the people who see them in broad daylight, fully awake and alert? What about multiple witnesses seeing the same figure at the same time? Accounts from families who are all tormented by the same shadowy presence in their home are much harder to dismiss as individual hallucinations. This is where the theories get more esoteric. Some paranormal researchers believe shadow people are a type of non-human entity, perhaps interdimensional beings that can phase in and out of our reality. Our peripheral vision, they argue, might be more sensitive to frequencies or vibrations outside our normal range of perception, which is why we only catch glimpses of them. When we turn to look, our focused, direct vision filters them out. Another popular theory is that they are the spirits of the dead, but not in the way we typically think of ghosts. These might be souls who are so lost or damaged that they can no longer manifest a full human appearance. They are just echoes, dark imprints left on a location. Or perhaps they are something much older, elemental spirits or beings that have existed on Earth long before humanity. Let's consider the history. Stories of dark, lurking entities are not new. They are woven into the folklore of cultures all around the world. In German and Norse mythology, you have the mare, a creature that would sit on a sleeper's chest, causing nightmares and a feeling of suffocation. Sound familiar? Many cultures have tales of dark watchers or shadowy figures that observe travelers from lonely hillsides. The modern concept of shadow people really gained traction with the rise of the internet, where people could share their experiences anonymously and discover they weren't alone. Talk shows about the paranormal in the early 2000s brought the term into the mainstream, and suddenly, millions of people had a name for the terrifying thing they had seen but never dared to talk about. So how do we reconcile the science with the sheer volume of anecdotal evidence? Maybe the answer isn't one or the other. Maybe it's both. It's entirely possible that 99% of shadow people sightings can be explained by sleep paralysis, optical illusions, and the quirks of our own brains. Our minds are powerful and mysterious, and they can certainly play tricks on us. But what about that remaining 1%? The cases that defy easy explanation, the sightings by sober, credible witnesses in well-lit rooms. The shared experiences, it's in that small, unexplained sliver that the true mystery lies. Could it be that our brains, under certain conditions like stress or exhaustion, become temporary receivers for things that are normally beyond our perception? Perhaps sleep paralysis isn't the cause of the hallucination, but rather a state that makes us vulnerable, lowering the veil between our world and whatever is on the other side. Think of it like a radio. Most of the time, you're tuned to a clear station that's our normal, everyday reality. But sometimes, you get static. And in that static, you might hear faint whispers from a distant, unknown broadcast. Maybe shadow people are that static, a brief, terrifying bleed-through from another reality. The phenomenon forces us to ask some fundamental questions. What is consciousness? What is reality? Are we truly alone in this universe? Or are we sharing our space with beings we can barely perceive? The truth is, nobody knows for sure. There is no definitive proof, only stories, theories, and the lingering sense of unease they leave behind. So, the next time you're lying in bed and see a shadow that seems a little too dark, a little too still, before you dismiss it as a trick of the light, just pause for a moment. What are you really seeing? Is it your tired brain playing games? Or have you just caught a glimpse of something from the corner of the eye of the universe? The mystery of the shadow people remains unsolved, a dark and persistent question mark hanging at the edge of our vision. Thanks for joining me on this journey into the shadows. If you have your own story, I'd love to read it in the comments. Stay curious, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more deep dives into the unknown. See you next time.